To immigration and border protection and the plight of asylum seekers. And Phillip Ruddock, you are, of course, a former immigration minister. What do you think about the situation on Manus Island and Nauru at the moment?
It's a matter that I have difficulty commenting on because I haven't been party to seeing these issues through, but I suspect that there were changes to the arrangements in relation to Manus and Nauru when they were negotiated with the Labor Party. Because people said if you want to reopen them, you really have to engage people from within the local community. And my concern has been that the sort of supervision that we may have been able to undertake previously has been more difficult.
The supervision under your watch when we had the Pacific Solution?
The supervision is of locally engaged staff, and it's a question of employment practice, and I just think it's more difficult sometimes to get people who have the same understanding of the need to handle people sensitively, humanely, carefully. I don't want to see people, when we're having them detained, abused, but I think it's more difficult to deal with it when they're offshore.
This is an interesting observation from someone who's so intimately involved in the Pacific Solution. Do we need a change here? Do we need greater Australian supervision of these centres?
Well, I don't know how you're going to be able to put that in place because essentially...
but that would be the ideal.
Papua New Guinea and Nauru now see this as an opportunity to employ their own people.
But for the sake of those people, the asylum seekers, it would be better, do you believe?
No, I think we've got to work together and address the issues, and you need to talk those issues through. But look,
I'm just trying to get to what you're saying. Are you saying that part of the problem that we're seeing is because we don't have that Australian supervision?
I think that it was very much more difficult the second time around because we weren't putting our people in to run the centres, we were engaging people locally to do so. And it was because the governments of Papua New Guinea and Nauru said, well, we'll allow this to happen, but it's going to be on our terms.
But if the result of that is people are being abused, surely we have to change that.
I think the way in which you have to deal with it is to take those issues up and negotiate them through and to put in place more adequate supervisory arrangements. And some of that's come from some of the reviews, like the Cornell review. I mean, the simple point I would make is that offshore processing is part of the arrangements. Hopefully we're going to put no more people offshore if we don't have people arriving. Yeah. So it shouldn't be a growing problem. And of course the situation is that children and families have in fact been quite dramatically downsized, if I can use that term, and that's a good thing.
Which is